Welcome, everyone, to the January 8th, 2024 meeting of the Open Space Committee. So we have two new things, one 2024 and the other is Open Space Committee, so it's very good. We used to be the Land Acquisition Preservation Committee. Okay, let's start with introduction of everyone that's here. I'm Ann Kennedy, I'm the chair.
Tracy Pratt from Katuitt.
Doug Payson, Barnstable Village.
Cassie Medeiros, Osterville.
Liz Lewis, West Barnstable.
Kate Gulliver, Hyannis.
Ann Rowland, Centerville.
Orly Lewis, Hyannisport.
Lev Malakoff, Centerville.
Jenna Zeno, Administrative Assistant.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I have to read this recording. This meeting of the Open Space Committee is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel in accordance with MGL Chapter 30A, subsection 20. I must inquire whether anyone else is recording this meeting, and if so, to make your presence known. Seeing none, we'll continue. The next order of business is approval of minutes. They're not ready yet, so can I have a motion to postpone?
I move to postpone.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The next topic for discussion is geocaching. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, so I wanted...
Malakoff.
Oh, yes, I'm Lev Malakoff,
Yep.
Centerville, with the committee. And I just wanted to put this subject on our agenda as kind of an education for the members and anyone watching from home. I got involved in this about a year ago. Barnstable Land Trust had a how-to, and we have a guest here that I'll introduce in just a moment, that was one of the people helping set that up. Since then, I've found, with my daughter, over 100 of these things in various locations.
Yep.
All over the, well, not that I've been all over the country, but whenever we travel, we'll find them at, visiting relatives, and we'll just take a break. What I find very interesting about the activity is it's twofold. When you're using the app to decide which ones you want to go and try to discover, there'll usually be some educational component about the things in the area, things you're going to see. Yeah. The other thing that I found very interesting is that they seem to be hidden in areas of either historical significance, natural beauty, but in a way that they're not having an impact on the resources of the area. I think once we get into the discussion, maybe we could pull up the little map from the email I sent you.
Okay. So is this like a game?
So maybe
interactive?
Maybe I'll probably Cassie's going to describe a little bit in more detail. It's like a game in that these things have been sequestered and hidden in all these different areas. This is just a part of a clip of the town showing where all the existing geocaches are, and you'll see a few. Most of them are shown as green. There's some smiley faces. Those are the ones that I've found.
Oh, you found them?
That I found, that because this is a screenshot from my app.
Okay.
And I think Cassie will have something with a little bit more smiley faces on it. A lot
So
more.
I'll let you go, and then
So I'll introduce Cassie because I think she'll be able to really get into some of the details of
All
it. So
right.
Cassie Medeiros is a geocaching enthusiast. She's well connected to the community of geocachers in the Cape Cod, and has been directly involved with Barnstable Land Trust. They now have 2 brand new geocaches released on January 1st that families can go and discover together. So let's take it away, Cassie.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I think we have a slideshow I created for you up here. So I will start. It's just a little geocaching 101 by me, Cassie Medeiros. That's my username. You create a username when you join the app. Those are my smiley faces in the bottom left, just to go with that. And then up top left is just showing that there's so many in New England. And then in the top right, it says over 3 million plus worldwide. So it is a worldwide game. So a little bit quick about me, born and raised Cape Codder. My mom, who's here with us tonight, is the one that taught me about it. She taught a geocaching after-school club using the handheld GPS and map printout. It has evolved a little more with the technology now where people use their phones and the app that you can download for free as well. I joined in 2013 with my children as a way to get outside and bring me to places over the Cape that I had never seen or experienced before as living here my entire life. I have over 500 plus finds, which every day it changes, and I've hidden 8 local ones, the 2 newest at Fuller Farm I put out myself with my mom's help, and more to come always. And then I created the Cape Cod Geocaching Facebook page as well to keep people interacted and connected. Geocaching, it's a GPS signal that allows people to enter a location and search for hidden treasure, if you will. As you see, I have some of those tonight in front of me. They're all different containers. I'll go over that in a minute. You can use a desktop or download the free app. You can create a username, and when you're ready, you can start your adventures. It does take you to some really cool places. You get to the geo zone, you look around, and you'll start to see where you go. I have a couple pictures here of the compasses, the coordinates that you need. When placing them, you have to be really specific on where they are located in those places. The geo finale part, once you arrive at the treasure, you must sign the log. I brought that tonight. So it's a little usually paper that goes in the container of some sort. And that just means you can't be at your couch and pretend you're at Mount Everest signing one, you know, or that you were in deep sea diving that day. You can always log from your device, meaning your phone or your computer. And then once you click found it, you get those famous smiley faces. And that's what we all kind of go for, is that, as you saw in mine and Lev's. Different types of cache containers. I won't go into all that tonight, as this is a 101, but there are different containers that vary in the size of this little baby one, the size of a pencil cap that I have here, all the way to huge ones that you can walk into and everything in between. That one of them is the one on the left. Those are my sons. That's in Boston. We did one, the little moose behind us. So I brought a couple different animal ones. Again, they're not to take away from the scenery, but to give the idea what's out there. And then a lot of the local little libraries that you've seen, you've probably driven past some if you've not interacted with them. You've seen that there's books in there. There's actually geos usually hidden in there as well. And as a normal person, you wouldn't notice that unless you were into the game. So it doesn't get ruined and it doesn't take away from anything. Geocaching on Cape Cod is really true and dear to me. I believe, as an educator myself for years, that educating people on the spaces we have to maintain while giving people the experiences to continue to protect our land is why I'm here tonight. I think it's really important, and I think that getting new families and new people involved, which is how I got involved with the Land Trust as well, just to kind of get out there that there are places that we've never explored. Fuller Farm, my grandfather lives across the street, and so I've always been known to those places as well as a local. Many geo-celebs on Cape who have tens of thousands of finds, and they are a very big part, thousands, they've traveled the world really. And as they go along, they still come back to the Cape. That's actually some of the people on First Day Cape Cod on the bottom. They're celebrating their 20th year of geocaching. Wow. High Pointer and Kapiti, they're really cool. They have over 30,000 finds. So they do believe in these events, and they do believe in this game, if you will, to just make the connections and, you know, keep educating people. Some of the events that I've taught are at the Osterville Library. I've taught a couple around town, different places with the Barnstable Land Trust, First Day hikes. I've done that 3 years in a row. And now with you guys here tonight. So this is a really fun way to just get back and be part of things. A Cyto is one that is on my goal list this year. Cash in, trash out is a big part of preserving the land. So it gets people who are geocachers that want to get a point, if you want to call it that, but while also protecting an area. And I think that's a big piece of what I want to work toward. As we know, the Cape is why we're all here, right? And so it just allows us a place that we can come and stay together. And some tips, I just think this is always important. I always tell my kids, you always have to go with a buddy. It's more fun anyways. You should always let someone know where you are. I think it's just a hiking safety 101. I try to make that really important too. Never log it till you're back at your car. So if you use the app, just, making sure. And as you can see down bottom, my sister, my niece, myself, and my little baby, and that one's a little frog. So it's really cute. It was hidden away in a stump. It didn't disrupt any of the nature around it, but it was still known to us that are looking for it. Some of my finds and hides, my kids love to recycle. We save, as you can see in front of us, we have some duct tape containers. There's all sorts of containers, Tupperwares, different ways. That one on the bottom left is a little light switch plate, kind of like this one, looks like an electrical. No one would really see it to the human eye unless you were looking. And then that middle one, which we call a bison tube, and that's my son holding that one. They love to find it. So it's really fun as well. And thank you and happy caching.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, there's
You're
lots of
welcome.
questions.
Yes,
Thank you.
any questions or comments?
Thank you very much,
You're
Cassie.
welcome.
I'd just like to say that I was walking out of the treasure trail the other day behind the old jail, and there was a woman with her cell phone going like this, and I said, "Are you a geocacher?" Because Lev had taken me and shown, I don't want to
Yeah,
let
you don't
people
give it
know
away.
where they are.
It's his
But
first
there-
find, though.
Yeah,
good.
it was my first one, and there is one farther down the trail in a interesting location. So, but I concur that it's a great way to get people out in the woods, and this woman happened to be from Dennis, so it's someone coming into our town who can then shop in our town, go get a coffee at Nirvana. This is a way to generate people coming here as well that will then spend money in our town.
Now, my question, and this might be a dumb question,
Never.
but so you go, say you're at the, since we've already outed the Tracer, so you go to the Tracer Museum Trail, and the trailhead has a little compartment behind it, the trailhead sign, right? That's where the little thing is. You already outed it, so you might as well.
No, I said it was around there.
I have to out it to make my point. So you find something inside the little container. Do you leave it in there?
Yes, so people will come back as I have these containers, and they're just hidden. They can be at, like I said, at a stump on the sign somewhere, and then when they go, that way, once you log it and get that smiley, the next person can come and find it as
Okay.
well.
So have you had any problems with people taking the little toys or anything? And
So we actually put toys in there for the kids as a way to kind of, it's a take one, leave one type
Oh,
of thing.
okay.
And we make, there's way more to the game with that depth as well, but is the containers themselves, not usually, because we do have them labeled Fisho Geocache. People know that it's part of the game.
Okay.
And like I said, they're usually hidden without disrupting anything else.
Yeah.
And that way people know what is there.
so maybe you should bring some little,
I have them in my container.
yeah. So,
I have them in my cubby.
yeah, okay. So, I mean, as me walking the trail and I find one, so should I take what's inside the little container?
You
and
always
then
can.
leave something behind?
Yeah, I make that a part with my kids. We actually will paint rocks and leave one, so I make it as a take one, leave one.
Yeah.
There's more to the game with trackables and all that. I didn't get into that tonight with the 101, but it does become where you can move things around to different places around the world. So he was saying he was just in Maine,
cool.
you can take them and move them. And
Yeah.
some of my moms have thousands of miles on, you watch where it goes all around. So,
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it, yeah.
So how do you become a Facebook? How do we get on your Facebook?
So on that slide, right in the front, I can show you that again, Cape Cod geocaching. You just go to that and it's
Okay.
on Facebook. Yep.
Okay.
And I administer all that. I'm the admin of that as well. I try to keep it, with people who are into the game. That way we can keep the community
Okay.
what it needs to be.
Okay.
And then also the app on your phone.
That's also,
People can download the app on their phone.
Yeah, so I had mentioned that. You can download the app for free or use the web. I always suggest kind of starting with the app. I think it's the easiest way. And then you can go onto your computer as well, which sometimes gives
What's
it.
the app called?
So it's called geocaching.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I have all that here too.
So you have things to pass out?
Well, if you just wanted to look at these, yeah, they're just
Yeah.
kind of showing how the app store looks. And then these are some of the difficulty ratings, just to show how hard, because again, you can climb, you can hike. I actually just put one that was a park and grab, so that you can park
wait
and
to
just
do
grab
it
it,
with
not have
Gigi.
to go around. So those are some more of just the local, that was before we had a lot of smileys on there.
Okay.
How do you choose how do you decide what you're going to do on you say Saturday, I'm going to go out and do some geocaching?
So that's why I always plan my map. We've always kind of made an itinerary of where we want to go that day. I
you
kind of
scan
know
on
what
that?
we're looking
You
for
can't.
based off the difficulty
Can't
rating,
scan
which
on
is on this page.
Oh.
So that if it's a longer hike into the woods and I have my 3 children, I think, do I want to do this today? Or do I want to do one that's a little quicker, that's a bigger container stuffed with goodies? Or is it fun to find the little animals? Or are we looking for this, nano tiny thing in the woods?
And
So-
you know all that before you start out?
Yes, so on this part too, so this was coming up, on this one as well, there's a difficulty rating, the terrain and the size. So you have to, when you plug that in, you could pass that down. When you plug that in, it'll tell people on the app which size container it is. So again, if it's anything from a really tiny to a really grand piece of Tupperware, such box, whatever container. And then again, the difficulty of the trail, how far it is from where you park, how much terrain you're going to be on. So again, you're not hiking Everest on these ones, but there are a lot around. And so I just made one of the ones at Fuller Farm, without giving too much away, is a park and grab to make it a little bit more friendly for everybody, accessible. Yep.
Yeah, so this is really good about, we're trying to do that on our own with like a trail library on our website. So that's very good that you're doing that. Yes, Chris?
Thank you very much.
This is Chris, our town council liaison, Chris Clark.
Very nice presentation. A couple of things. Perhaps we need to check with the town, but is it possible to have a link to this information on the open space webpage? Because we made it part of this meeting, it's part of public information, and I take it as free?
Yes.
So,
it is free. Yep.
so that it's free, that it brings people outdoors, and it links it to trails, I think gives it legs to legitimize the, and dovetails into our mission to bring people out. And
I could
second,
work with Cassie to do a little intro paragraph that Jenna could give to the
Love, you're wonderful. That's
website
great.
people, and then they'll be able to get, links to download the apps and what it is and how you do it.
Yeah, if there's a link and then a drop-down menu where people can look at these documents that you have artfully prepared. And secondly, do you need donations for stuff?
Yeah, so that's always a thing. Again, with our kids, we save a lot of our little, bottles or peanut butter containers or anything, and then we duct tape them. We usually go to the dollar store and create something or let them paint them. It's really, you can come up with so many creative ways. The program itself does offer that you can buy things, but I try to just use what we have to make it, again, reuse, reuse, as I said in that.
Sure.
Yep,
So if people have stuff to donate,
sure.
leftover stuff from yard sales and all,
Yep.
how do they contact you?
Do you want to, we can be in touch with that?
Yeah, I guess you can reach out to me, or we
Perfect.
can put a link on the website, maybe to one or the other of us.
So Lev said he would give information to Jenna, and Jenna will Jenna, you know who you are. So Jenna will contact the appropriate website people and try to get that done.
Great suggestion.
So,
Yeah.
right?
No, I think that's really cool.
Right.
I really like the fact that this is engaging children
Right.
and getting them out into the woods early. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and it encourages, I like the fact that it encourages families. So it's a reason to bring your grandkids with you on a walk.
And it's
So-
really cool too with the GPS, when I showed them one of those slides as well, the compass on there that they actually learn. My kids have learned so many great map skills from that,
Yeah.
and then they're like racing around and looking, and
Yeah.
every time we drive past something, they're like, that'd be a cool geo spot, so it does become part of who you are. And then the outdoor trails, like I said, that's the part that, those open spaces, if you will, that have become a really big part of what we want to preserve here
Yeah,
too.
so it'll teach me how to do a compass too. I
The
don't-
kids figure out the app pretty quick. They're actually better than me.
Chris,
So perhaps we can include a geocache class or two during our spring walks.
Yeah, that'd be.
Oh, what a
fun.
good idea.
Maybe,
Yes.
yeah, add that, yeah.
be a good offering,
Yeah.
Farley.
Great.
Farley Lewis is our, she heads up the pathway every fall and spring, but we're just doing it now. But we usually have a series of walks on a weekend. And so that would be a really good one.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
excellent, thank you.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Okay, so we'll invite you.
Great.
All right.
Do you have the dates for the spring walk?
We don't yet, so,
Because whatever date that is, there'll be a new geocache released to commemorate
Cool.
the event.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can publish them, so once you type it in, we have permission, you always have to have permission from the place, and then you can promote it to any day you want. So when I published those two for Fuller Farm, my mom and I had gone out a couple weeks before, found the place, made sure it was the correct containers that we wanted for each part, and then you have to type all that in. So nothing will go anywhere without everyone knowing about it. So that if you're like, I want this here at this position, at this place, it's very, everyone knows what's there that wants to. If you want it to be a secret, you can. But that way, you can all be on board with what's there.
Okay.
And it's never digging holes. It's never disrupting the landscape. When I say it's covered in bark or at the bottom of a tree stump, that's one that's usually already, there's no disruption to the landscape. We're very big. The people that are part of this community are very wholehearted about that, preserving it. That's why I included those words too, yeah. So when you're hiking, to the normal eye, people won't see it, but the people that have their GPS out will.
Yeah.
yeah.
So would you do me a favor and give your contact information to Farley?
Perfect.
All right?
Great.
This is
Thank you.
Farley right
Great.
here.
Thank you.
I think
Thank
Jenna
you.
has it as well.
Yes.
Because they've been
Yeah.
back and
Yes,
forth.
yes, thank you.
All right.
So thank you very much
you,
for
everybody. I
coming, and
appreciate
you're very welcome to
Thank
stay
you.
or
All right.
whatever you'd like
Thank
to
you.
do.
I'm sure I'll see you out there now.
It's going to be a short meeting because we don't really have that much going on. So Lev, thank you very much for suggesting that topic.
Thank you.
On the old business, we have an update on outstanding conservation restrictions. And as I mentioned last time, the state has now outsourced those CRs, those conservation restrictions that do not have deadlines and grants associated with them. And so that includes our Harju, Amaral, and Prince Ave, which are our outstanding conservation restrictions from years ago. And so I imagine it's good that there are someplace, but there hasn't been any movement, so.
Could you explain, they're outsourcing it to a private contractor?
I do not know that. I think to another attorney outside of the state. That's who I think, but I don't know for sure. The state is handling, there's such a backlog, and it has been for years. So the state State Department of Conservation, I think, is handling the conservation restrictions that need to be done by a certain time to utilize the grants that are associated with them or the tax break that's associated with them. Those come with deadlines, so. But we know that by law, the conservation restrictions are supposed to be applied to the land shortly after the acquisition of the land. So shortly, in this case, has been years. We hope that, once this gets cleared up, that the current administration will keep up with it. So we'll see. So the next is, we keep these things on the agenda just so that they don't get lost. But pathways update, do we have any update on pathways? Farley or Lev?
Right.
Includes your projects as well. But it's general pathways and also the New England Biking Association's pathways.
You want
I don't,
to chime in?
I don't have anything to report myself, so I will hand it off to Lev.
Yeah, it's just to let the committee know what progress, if, such as it is, has been made with the two projects we discussed back in October, I think, when we had a presentation by the
Eagle
chapter
Scout.
president, Frank Marola, and the Boy Scout, Eagle Scout project. So there were two projects that were being discussed. One was what's considered a safety project in West Barnstable, which was to reroute some of the trails that are eroded and not sustainable. So that project is not really going anywhere at this point. It's kind of awaiting any decision from conservation due to some mapping project that they've been working on.
Their issue is that these have to be mapped. Is that their issue?
I'm not sure. I think they don't want to make any decisions while they're doing mapping. So they want to identify what trails there are and which ones have had approvals. I think most of the trails in our system don't have approvals. I think they've just been trails that have been used for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what the point of their exercise is other than documenting things. In the meantime, we have places where people could, twist their ankles and have other problems on the trails, as well as the erosion from trails that were not designed. They were created.
Yeah. So obviously, this is not good, an ideal situation.
Mm-hmm.
So what would help move that along in your estimation?
Well, we're hoping Doug, with his contact with Mark Ells, will be able to at least start a
I
dialogue.
had said I would, in my mind, from what I understand, and Chris, you probably know, that the trail mapping that the town is doing is for safety reasons, so that there could be, if there's someone down on a trail, whether it's a hiker or a biker, that rescue people could find them.
Yeah.
This seems to me like to get any kind of young person that was willing to do a project for free for the town to correct a safety issue, I think we should be encouraging that.
Yes.
However, I do understand that there's a process, and it should maybe be a little more transparent.
Yeah.
We should, the public should know that that's part of the effort of the town to create a safer environment by having, so that they could pinpoint someone on the map. They could, now with cell technology, you can probably find, if someone's carrying a cell phone.
Yeah.
Which everybody is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could find someone pretty quickly.
Yeah.
That there's a beacon on every cell phone.
Yeah.
However, I just think we need to bring it to the forefront.
Yeah.
And
So
just to add one last comment, yes, you have a latitude, longitude of the person with the problem, but you might not know the way to go to easily
Yeah.
rescue them.
Yeah.
You could walk straight through the brush and tear yourself apart trying to get to somebody, or you could follow a trail if you knew which
If you had,
trail to use.
if it was mapped.
And maybe at the next meeting or the meeting after, we should actually talk about mapping, because the mapping's already been done It's in a system called OpenStreetMap.
Yeah,
So all the trails are in pretty much Cape Cod have been updated with their locations, their trail names. You see that information on the apps people are carrying in their pocket. A lot of people use something called All Trails. They might use several other applications as well that feed off the information from OpenStreetMap. So that's why it's a little bit discouraging, because that information is already available. We have people that the Mountain Bike Club have been working with for years to try to update and verify and correct that information. It's been offered to the town, kind of hasn't gone anywhere since we had a meeting with Alicia several months ago. So, any case, that's kind of where we are with that project.
Yeah.
So maybe a little tutorial on what the mapping information.
so, okay, I'll think about that, but, yeah, you were going to contact,
I would reach out to the town manager. I mean, I think that this is kind of an interdepartmental issue. Wouldn't it appear to you?
I actually, if we're referring to the same project, and I could be mistaken, I had a chance meeting with Tom Lee at Town Hall, who chairs the Conservation Commission. And if I understood him correctly, like I said, this was just in the hallway on passing, I mentioned that there was this concern of ours. And he mentioned that they're working to make sure that any conservation restriction or the reason that the property had come into the town's ownership was reconciled with its proposed use. So there might be some inadvertent restrictions. I mean, actually, I had requested this when the town was is looking to drill for water at the Bridge Creek watershed property. So I said, have you checked to make sure that there's no deed restrictions on it for that particular use? So I think that there is some, how do I say, due diligence given to make sure that if there are expanded trails, that is not in any way violating the acquisition terms.
yes, and you're right about that, but I don't think there's any proposal to expand trails. I think they're trying to make the trails that exist safer, and all the trails that we do have are okay by the existing conservation restrictions, because that's one of the first things that we always do when we're reviewing them, is to make sure that there is public access and that they are walking trails. And we also check for horseback riding, and that usually has, bike riding, but not electric bikes. So I think that's, if they're going over that again, it's sort of like.
Like I said, I'm not particularly clear. This was
Yeah.
a chance meeting, but I just thought I'd say, I said, I'm trying not to make the Conservation Commission the bad guy here. I just wanted to gain more understanding on where the rub is. So
Yeah.
I'd be willing to meet with
Yeah,
you.
so I think maybe
I think it's a communication issue.
Yeah.
I don't think we're accusing the Conservation Commission of anything.
no.
It's a communication issue of one of the things that I think that's happened as we really don't have an active local media anymore is that there is not a lot of communication with the public about what's going on in the town. And that is an issue going forward, and I think it's really important that there are parcels that we don't want any trails at all because they may have rare plants or rare animals, or as Chris mentioned, deed restrictions on that parcel for very specific uses. But I think we need to be aware of that.
Yeah, but those parcels, the conservation restrictions that we have approved would not be accessible to the public. So we know which ones they are, or we should know as a town. So I think there's a little bit of reinvention of the wheel. So I think you're right. There's a communication issue, and so maybe a conversation with the town manager would be good. And if you volunteered to do that,
Yeah, I
Doug,
would.
that would be.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. We'll ask for a meeting.
And if you want to join them, Lev, maybe you should.
Yeah, we were hoping maybe to have a site visit, because I think that.
Yeah, and I think that that's important too, is maybe we
Actually
want
see
to
it.
go see it first, Chris, and see what so we're on the same page, speaking about, what sounds to me, which is a repair.
Yeah, and it's an Eagle Scout project, so it's
Yeah,
really not
exactly.
that
Let's
sophisticated.
encourage children in the woods doing things rather than looking at a device.
So I think, it would be a good thing if we could get that moving. And I think the best way is to have a conversation that involves the town manager. If he wants to invite the Conservation Commission, that's fine. But start with him.
I'm sorry, I was just curious as to where our GIS mapping situation is.
So that's part of our conversation here. I think it's sort of stalled.
Stalled.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so Alicia was working on that, I know, so let's see how far she's gotten to. So that was, maybe we loop her into it.
Yeah. Because, is that a hinge factor? I mean, do we need the GIS mapping to be complete before we can,
I think that's what conservation is
it's
insinuating, and but we don't feel, some of us don't feel that's entirely necessary to continue the.
I would think that it would behoove the town to, make it understood how easy it is to get to help if necessary, so that would make, the use of the trails more attractive, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, but I must say, you have to do, in terms of using apps and so forth when you're out in the woods, maybe not so much around here, but, you do hear a lot of times where, something like All Trails will send you in the wrong direction, and so you can't be totally dependent on them,
Yep.
so.
Well, we do have our own trail maps, and we have them online. Go ahead, Chris.
I do want to say that Alicia did explain to me, perhaps others, that technology has improved so much that trails that were laid years ago don't match up with the new technology that they're using now. So they're going in the woods and what do you call it? What do you call that
Redrawing.
thing that they walk around with?
Oh, yeah.
They're scanning the trail again. So to make sure that they're not, that the town is not representing trails with different levels of technology, that they're trying to bring everything up to the same highest level of technology so that it is accurate, and they are, how do I want to say,
Jen, do you have something to
of the
add?
same caliber of
You
technology.
were waiting? Okay.
And that's a tedious project. So they have to go in the woods and
Yeah, but it seems to me that technology is going to constantly change, so they'll be constantly doing that.
Sure. So she's bringing it all up to technology now. And I think it's a lot of work to clean up and reconcile the old stuff with the.
So let's have that conversation. If we have to bring in, I don't know, it sounds like conservation might be involved, maybe Alicia.
It sounds like a really good winter project, and we'll be all set to go for the spring walks.
Yeah. But, I do want to, I don't want to discourage that young man that was here, that was the Eagle Scout. and he has a project that he wants to launch, and he's been held up. So I'd like to see him be able to do his thing anyway. So let's, Doug, if you could do that maybe by next meeting, would be good. All right. Yes, Lev.
So the second update I have is the other project the committee endorsed, which was a trail signage project, much to Farley's point. It's not everybody has technology that's always working. So in West Barnstable, the Spalding Adaptive folks have provided a grant to put in signposts on some of the more mellow trails to guide able users as well as folks on adaptive mountain bikes, which are those three-wheeled
Yeah.
bikes that you've seen. So these are the trails that are more mellow, that, people that don't have full use of all of their abilities could, do the hand cranks and,
Yeah.
or whatever the different versions are. So, so the update is that the Mountain Bike Club put out the posts for the signs a couple months ago in, anticipation of getting them in before the winter season, and then the signage would be added later. There are, if you were to go visit that area, you will see about 10 or 11 of them have been cut down. All right. So you might wonder, why are they cut down? So I don't want to speak too much to what's going on with the investigation, but suffice it to say there are some disgruntled people that are familiar with the area that decided they didn't want the posts. And I can't tell you why. I haven't personally spoken with them, but there's an investigation ongoing, and hopefully there'll be a resolution not too long from now, where the post, the problem is, a post was put up and then somebody pulled one out, and then a replacement post was put up and then it was cut down. And so it was not sustainable to keep, because there's a lot of effort to move those. They were put in with 60-pound bags of concrete and screws in the bottom, so they're not going to be pulled out. So these persons of interest have been causing a lot of problems. So if you're wondering why there are posts out there that are cut down,
You have no clue as to why.
well, I don't know why, but there are people that are being investigated. So
No, okay, well,
I hope to have a resolution and good news
oh,
not
so
too long.
You'll
from now.
tell us all about it next
Okay.
time, yeah.
Just to be clear, did you have permission to put them up?
Yes. Yes, so we did, we wanted to make sure before we go through all the work that
Sure.
We had an email approval from Ed Hoops at Conservation.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, well, people are strange. That's all there is to it. Okay, so it. So I was supposed to, this is what I was supposed to do, was to go back to the powers that be on that side and reiterate the chain of command, and I didn't do it. So, but I will do it. But do you have anything to report?
I don't have anything to report, really.
Okay.
It's quiet.
Have you attempted to contact anybody about anything that's going on there?
No, but there's something that I would like to do, and I'm going to talk to the Mashpee guys out there, see if they're in agreement.
Talk to,
The Mashpee,
Mashpee.
to Mashpee, because most everything that's done is in the town of Mashpee. Very little of it falls in the Barnstable side of the line.
Yeah.
And I just, they just come in and get it done. There's no
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah, no,
No,
that's,
I'll call you
that's,
back. It
yeah,
just gets
that's
done.
Mashpee.
So I'm going to bring it up with them and see what they say.
Okay. Okay, so, I mean, the chain of command applies to you as well. So when you have done something or want something done, even if you're directing it to Mashpee, send it to everybody in the email chain so that everybody's aware of what everybody else is doing. So, do you have those contact information, that list?
I do.
Okay.
I have to dig it up. It's just, I would like to talk to,
Like, if you want to talk to Drew or his counterpart, I know it's somebody else now, send the email to him, and then the CC to all the other people.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, Farley, is there anything going on with CPC?
And the answer is no.
Oh, see, I knew it would be a short meeting.
No, we did not meet.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this later, we've got a meeting in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay.
Chris?
Particular projects on the agenda that look like,
No.
Nothing
She won't
right
know
now.
for a couple
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there have been no letters of intent or anything so far, so.
Okay, Chris, do you have anything to report?
I am still your liaison. The new council president saw to it that I am assigned as liaison. And just so you know, maybe things will change with the new council leadership, but a liaison to a committee doesn't necessarily have to attend all the meetings. I know that I watch a lot of meetings, and not necessarily in person, and sometimes watch it live stream at my convenience, but I do have a special allegiance to this committee. I made some notes here. I was wondering, Farley, if perhaps by the next meeting, confer with whoever you need to see if we can, as Lev had asked, if we can confirm some dates for the spring walking weekend.
Sure.
And then we can start lining up our events.
Yeah.
But that will be February, and that's not too soon, in my opinion, to put it on the calendar, and then we can populate the schedule with events. And Jenna, I bet you're going to have to go to more than 2 sides of a page, because I think we're going to have some interest, especially with the geocaching feature.
I think that's,
Yeah, good.
And when Chair Kennedy mentioned about has anything happened at CPC, the town council did vote to spend the money or appropriate the money for the Centerville, Osterville, Marston's Mills to receive some money to research properties for future water. And word came back to me, we got to do more of that. So let's get the word out and see. Because back when the land bank was first established, and I had the honor of serving on that, the number one criteria for purchasing open space, far outweighing criteria number 2, was to purchase land for municipal water.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I don't think we've been aggressive enough about doing that, but I think the new leadership might have a different perspective.
And I also think a priority should be, especially for the north side, is to identify properties that can be used for effluent discharge and package plants, because the north side will never have a sewer, but they are going to have to control their waste. They're getting rid of the waste. And right now, Barnstable Harbor has not been as adversely affected as the south side bays, but it has changed. There has been noticeable change, and it will continue to degrade. So we need to find those properties that can be used for that purpose on the north side. I know that, and I used to say that as a town councilor all the time, and I continue to say that. And I'm hoping that I've never seen it in a comprehensive town-wide wastewater plan, but it should be in there.
I have a question for you, if you don't mind. Were you asked this year to submit a report for the annual report?
I have not been asked to, no, not yet.
I'd just like to add what Ian has said. The area where I live is Seward and
Yep.
has been since the 70s, and yet we are continuing to see a decline in water quality in Barnstable Harbor.
Yeah,
And I believe that it's due in large part to road runoff. And we have little or no agriculture now, but we have an enormous number of people who walk dogs. And even if 90% of people pick up after their dogs, we're looking at where I live, you know, in the wintertime it's dozens, in the summertime it's hundreds of people a day.
there's also geese.
Everywhere. Everywhere.
Geese, and those geese
Yeah,
are
everywhere.
pollutants.
There's a
And
there's a
turkeys.
large road runoff problem, and the town is still running the runoff directly
Into the
to the
pit.
water.
Yep, I see that, yep.
If I may, I believe I'm correct on this. Even if dog owners or dog walkers pick up the poop, it's the urine that contributes the nitrogen. And that's something that's not easily picked up, but will come out in rainfall. So I think that you're onto something there, Doug.
Well, and that makes a big point to redirect the stormwater runoff. I was able back in the 80s to get when the town of Barnstable and Barnstable County had an 11-inch outfall pipe and a 36-inch outfall pipe going directly into Barnstable Harbor to get the containment basins behind where the tavern was, but the town has not maintained those leaching areas.
No. Nope. And you say it is Seward by where you live, but that's going down Finney's Lane, Hyannis Road, and a little bit up 6A towards the west. But it doesn't go east, and Comaquid will never be Seward. West Barnstable is never going to be Seward. All the roads that are going off of Finney's have the ability to be Seward, and they're not. Maw Shop,
Yeah.
Those have not been Seward. So it's very, I used to get it from the other town councilors. Oh, Barnstable Seward. I'm like, no, just a teeny weeny part of it is like a little loop is Seward. And I'm glad that your Common Fields is Seward because you're so close, so congested, and so close to the water now that you need it to be. So, yep.
If I may suggest that this committee, not me, but the committee, start revisiting the open space and recreation plan and start ticking off things that we intended to do because that was written or accepted it was written before that, but it was accepted in 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22,
Yeah, it's
23,
close.
24,
When is it due again? Next year, right?
probably.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, any traction on this?
Nope. Well, some, yes, we have.
So if I can ask Jenna to make sure that everyone has a copy of it and suggest that the chair put it on the agenda
Okay.
and see if there's one thing we can do.
Okay. All right. So do you think we need to have Miss Jenkins come again, or no? Maybe we should review it ourselves and then see if we need to have her help and stuff. All right. So your homework, once you get the plan, is to look through it and see if you can find some low-hanging fruit.
Let's face it, it's a winter job. You don't want to do this in the spring or summer.
Right,
So
right.
let's get
Yeah.
something done.
Yep.
And by the way, one of the directives we have from the new leadership is that council liaisons are to report to the town council on what our committees are doing.
Oh, that's
So let's
great.
do something.
That's great.
Yeah, well, we're doing some.
Okay.
We're actually working really hard on the pathways, so I think that's big.
Yep.
So, yeah, and to your point about liaisons, we always were told the same thing. You don't have to come to every meeting. I try to, but liaisons are for us to, they're a resource for us more than anything else.
And facilitators, we're going to work on that.
So,
I have one question about Barnstable Harbor. Friends of Barnstable Harbor, what's their mission these days?
They're working, I believe, and I'm a member of the Friends of
Yeah.
Barnstable Harbor, on benthic studies right now, which would essentially map the bottom of the harbor, and it's quite significant. I mean, the expenses, I think, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Okay.
It's executed by the Center for Coastal Studies.
Oh,
so-
okay. All right. But
And-
they're not trying to do anything about water quality, so to speak, right now?
well, this is sort of the baseline of the water
Exactly.
quality.
They're trying to create a baseline,
Fine.
and in different areas, because the shoals move in the harbor. You know, the bottom changes, and it's a, you know, I'd like to think that's kind of a focus, but
Okay.
but I'm personally seeing,
Yeah.
you know, just walking over the bridge on Millway every day, the water looks different.
Yeah.
It's cloudy.
Yeah.
You know, it's turbid.
Yeah.
It's too much nutrients.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
getting a lot of clogging with the Phragmites and other things, so. So the flow is not there anymore.
Right.
Anyways, does anybody have anything else they want to add? Any other topics under unanticipated? I mean, you know, whatever you want to talk about? Twin Brooks or anything else? Okay,
It's
all right.
in the hands
So
of the
can I have a?
lawyers.
Hmm?
Twin Brooks is in the hands of the lawyers. So
Oh. Okay, so can I have a motion to adjourn then?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, have a good evening and
Thank
have a
you, Ann.
good